So this week, Libra, from Le Vampire, you pulled Eternal Youth, energy, newness, and vitality. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Gratitude. Now these two cards are perfect together. Eternal Youth. The blessing here says that you are about to be rejuvenated and filled with energy and potential. You will look and feel very well, and your health will be vital. You will be very attractive, and people will be drawn to your youthful free spirit and optimism. And then working with this card talks about it is time to give in to what you love and make it a larger part of your life. It's time to love being alive. And then when you look at that with gratitude, immediately your ability to have gratitude within your heart is bringing this youthful feeling to you, and it's perfect. Gratitude. The inspiration here says that gratitude rises our vibration to a higher level. If you are unhappy in any relationship, this card reminds you that it is always in your power to change it. There is no mystery to being a good person. Good people just do good things. And then the personal question says, who is the person I admire most? Why? And how can I live at that level? The key ideas are friendship, deep love, pregnancy, nurturing, unconditional love towards self or others. And it's beautiful. And I do feel like just looking at the two, that gratitude is going to play an important role in what happens this week. But more importantly, it's bringing a youthful feeling back to you. And it's perfect. When you talk about raising your vibrational level, that is exactly what gratitude is doing. All right, Libra, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. You know, we shall see where this heads. But every time I see the King of Swords as a signifier, I get a little iffy. But because we are talking about Libra and you are talking about an air sign, this can definitely represent you being very clear. Clear in thought, clear in communication. This is a perfect energy for you in terms of having wisdom and the ability to make clear-cut decisions without emotional baggage affecting what you choose to do. And I think it's perfect for you guys. It's a little bit different than the ass-kicking Queen of Swords, but, you know, again, for some of you, this may be a situation where you're dealing with another air sign, Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini. Now, my problem is, as a reader, the King of Swords for me has always been that card that suggests somebody that you may be dealing with. It's really like difficult to handle, basically. But we shall see. We shall see what unfolds around this king. And in the past, the Three of Pentacles. Now that could definitely suggest that maybe some of you are working with another air sign. But looking at the Three of Pentacles, this is you working towards something, showing off your talents and being recognized for it. This is one of the few cards too that talks about working within the group toward a common goal. But for a lot of you, this could just be you starting something new here that has the potential for some financial gain. But again, it's about you showing off your skills. And in the present, oh, so, you know, when you're looking at the twos, first of all, this is going back to, you know, needing to make decisions. When you're looking at the Two of Pentacles here, you know, what is it that you feel like you have to constantly keep in the air? Because it is the balancing act. Now, the sign of infinity going in between that is suggesting that you have the ability to be flexible and to change. The problem for me with this card, every time I've seen this, is when you get to a point where you say, fuck it, and you throw your hands up in the air and let everything drop. It's one of those cards for me where I see the person continuously trying to keep things going. And, you know, I'd like to see that King of Swords is saying that you have the clarity, the mental clarity to, you know, decide what you need to let go of, what you need to focus more on. But it definitely has something to do with possibly work for some of you. Maybe some of you are juggling 2 different jobs. You know, maybe there's something that you would rather be doing and trying to figure out how to do that. But then at the same time, you know, having to do the 9 to 5, right? Future conditions, so you are. There's clarity in thought, big time, between these two. When you're looking at the Four of Swords, first of all, you're talking about that break, that recuperation, right? But it's also representing the mental thought. There's like this meditative period. There's not a lot of communication happening here. The silence, right? And it's time for you to, kick back, relax, and meditate on what it is that you truly want to see develop out of this, basically. And you're clear. You're clear. I think for a lot of you, you may have started something new. Some of you may have started a new job, or, again, like wanting to do something. I kind of get the feeling that some of you are wanting to do something that I think it involves, you putting some time and effort, but it's about showing off your own skills, right? But then at the same time, when you're looking at the Two of Pentacles, you're juggling both, having to deal with, and this is in practical terms, dealing with your 9 to 5, but then also dealing with putting your time and effort into the things that you're really trying to work toward. And it's like you're trying to find balance in between that. And I think that you get to a point here where it's like you need to take a break, right? Some of you, it may literally be taking like some vacation time from work to think about things, for sure. But there's clarity, which is perfect. Oh, shit. Yeah. So your best path to follow, the Ace of Cups. You're going to have to forgive me, guys. I think I'm getting a little bit of a cold. I have to take a drink of coffee here. But seeing that is fantastic. I can tell you right now, whenever I see an ace as the best path to follow, this is Spirit's advice to you. And it will always mean that you need to make the most of the opportunities that are being presented to you. Because this to me is suggesting that there is an opportunity here for you to do something that's going to be something that you're going to want to work at, but it's also going to give you some emotional fulfillment as well. For some of you, this could be a situation where, again, looking at the King of Swords, I kind of get the feeling of both. Some of you may be trying to figure out how to maintain the day-to-day and then juggling a relationship, needing to think about it. But I think that there's clarity in the choices that you're making, because, I'm seeing you in future conditions doing that thinking, but looking at the King of Swords, I see you moving. But, and then there's also the feeling, though, too, where this may have to do with a relationship with another person, possibly. And you like, where do I fit this in? Is kind of what it feels like. And your environment, the Four of Cups, I'm telling you, if this has something to do with work, I do think that for a lot of you, you're doing what you have to right now to pay the bills. But I think there's something else that you would rather be working toward. And it's there. It's just you're needing to figure out here how to make the most of it. When you're looking at the Four of Cups in your environment, it is talking about boredom. That emotional funk. And then the other thing too, every time I've seen this card, I've always said that, technically what's being offered there is the Ace of Cups, and it's right there. And I wonder if some of you are seeing that there is a way to make the most of this, because right now you're in the juggling act and you're feeling blah about it, which makes sense. But I do think that some of you are wanting something that's going to make you more happy, basically. Your hopes and your fears, the Five of Swords. I'm almost seeing this as mental defeat, and that's what you're worried about. I'm not seeing this so much as an outside influence causing problems for you. I mean, yeah, definitely when you're looking at the King of Swords, because, I've always said you got to have amazing cards around this guy for me to see this as a positive thing. But seeing the Ace of Cups, it's connected, so it cancels that out for me. But when you look at the Five of Swords and then looking at the Four, I do think that this is like you like blocking yourself mentally from being able to see a clear solution to the juggling act and needing to make the most of this and get away from, this emotional funk, right? I think some of you just need to be careful about what you're doing to yourself mentally. It's there. It is there. It's just you needing to get some mental clarity. And I think you do with the King of Swords being the signifier. I just think that some of you are fearing some mental blocks. And it may be because of that feeling of boredom. Because, again, there's the juggling act. Having to deal with the day-to-day. And then trying to figure out how to work on the things that actually make you happy. Oh, and then the outcome. Yeah. Man. Now, again, going back to this being a person, I don't feel like this is somebody that's being sneaky or sketchy because of the Ace of Cups being there. I think that if some of you are dealing with a person and trying to figure out how to fit them into your life, I think that Seven of Swords is saying that either you or this person are both like not being completely open and honest about the way that you feel. But then the other part of this too, when I look at the Seven of Swords, for some of you, I kind of get the feeling here, when you look at futility in this deck, when it talks about this card, it's futile plans. I see you being silent about what your plans are. You're not really speaking about it. And it may be because, there's some mental blocks going on with the Five of Swords, And then on the other hand, if you're dealing with people who are intentionally pulling you into bullshit, then yeah, it would make sense that you're not going to want to tell them what you're doing. I wouldn't either. If you're going to cause me problems, then screw you. These are my plans and I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm going to do what I need to for me. I kind of get the feeling of both, You're being silent. And, that there's the potential there for mental clarity, but I think that the mental clarity leads you into a spot here where you're making your own plans for your own happiness, but I don't think that it's something that you're really willing to discuss with a lot of people. And it may be because of an issue you may be facing with the Five of Swords with people that are close to you, like wanting to hold you down, because that's kind of what I see with that card. But then, the other thing too is I do feel the mental block. Here's the thing. If you're trying to figure out how to start putting some time and effort into what is going to make you happy, you have to be careful where your thoughts are leading you. I'm not seeing it going to anything bad like the Nine of Swords, which thank God that didn't show up. But I do feel like maybe some of you are like thinking a little bit too much and maybe worrying that your plans are not going to work out the way that you're wanting them to. But I'm telling you, with this being here, there is, fantastic potential here for you to be happy and to get out of that emotional funk. Because you're bored with what you're doing. And yeah, I would be bored with constantly having to do this shit too. Like I'm done with this, How do I get out of this? Let me think about it. But, you need to be careful where your thinking is leading you. And then on the other hand, if this has to do with communication, again, there is no communication here. Not between the 4, the 7, and the 5. There is extreme miscommunication with the Five of Swords. The 7 and the 4 is silence. To me, that's just silence. But I think that overall, there is clarity there for you. I mean, I just worry that maybe overthinking a little bit too much. You know, again, there's almost like that feeling of the Nine of Swords, and I would have expected to see that, but I'm not. So that's good. It's just I worry about what mental blocks are going on with you. I'm going to pull a clarifier for that Seven of Swords. The Eight of Wands. So, you know, I have to wonder here if you've already laid down some plans and there's already, you know, things set into motion here. Because looking at the Eight of Wands, first of all, it's fast moving energy. It is also about communication, right? But when I'm looking at this in terms of you and the way that you're thinking about what your plans are, I worry that some of you are like in a spot here where things are going to start moving so quickly. You're going to be like, did I do the right thing? And you did. I can tell you right now, with the Ace of Cups being there, you're doing the right thing. Whatever plans you've laid down for your own happiness, you are doing the right thing. You just have to be careful about overthinking things. Now, when it comes to communication, there's silence. There is silence. And I think it's because you're worried about this. You know, getting into these bullshit arguments because there isn't clarity happening with communication. But yet, at the same time, you're pulling on the energy of the King of Swords, who is a fantastic communicator. So I would say, Libra, for some of you, if you're having a difficulty communicating right now, you know, there is an opportunity here for you to pull on some mental clarity, but I think for some reason you're being silent. You're being silent about what your plans are. All right, we're going to take a look at the soul trees to see what other messages there are for you guys. But I get this feeling here that I do think that you're doing the right thing for you. I do. It could be, I'm telling you, because the Ace of Cups would not have shown up as your best path to follow. It's like, you know, the reminder there that this is a new beginning for you. Don't fret is what I'm hearing. Don't fret about it so much, right? And when energy starts moving fast and all these things start to take shape and you have to act on these plans, you know, I think things will start to clear up for some of you. So, the sacral chakra. This is your creative center. This is also about your sexuality as well. Or sexual energy, I should say. So, change is happening. You're flourishing through that change. And I think that, you know, especially with the Ace of Cups, when you're looking at the sacral chakra, that things are going to open up for you creatively. Absolutely. I don't feel like any of you have any blocks when it comes to that. But I do think that for a lot of you, that is where your energy is focused right now. That's like, that chakra is spinning and it's going in the right direction. And you need to go with the changes that are happening so you can flourish. I love it. Love is all around you, absolutely. There is love everywhere all the time. Simply acknowledge this as truth. Woo! That is one of my favorite cards. The Union of Hearts. There is a connection of love that defies explanation. So for some of you, if you're in a relationship, it's really good. Really good. For those of you who are single, there is somebody around you that has love for you. Absolutely, with love is all around you, and then seeing Union of Hearts, it's perfect. I love this card. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, if you guys can see it. But beautiful cards. I just think that for some of you, you know, looking at these, especially if you're having problems with communication, now it's time to start opening up. I don't think that there's any reason for Libra to hide the way that they feel. But now, seriously though, when it comes to your plans, I think there's a reason why you're being quiet about it. And I understand, especially if you're dealing with things that, you know, maybe like blocking you there with the Five of Swords, but I do think that things are going to start moving quickly. And don't worry about it. Don't fret about it, because you have the ability to pull on that mental clarity. And I do ultimately think that you're trying to work towards something here that's going to make you more happy and not so emotionally blah. All right, Libra. So this one isn't bad. It's just for some reason there's a lot of silence going on. And I do think that for some of you, you're having a block with communication. And it definitely could be because of another person. And looking at the Five of Swords, you know, it may be a situation where it's not something you're wanting to talk about because you're fearing the arguments that you may be having to deal with, which again is understandable. But then the other thing I feel like with this too is that there's like some mental blockage going on, because ultimately I think that you guys have plans in motion here to do something that's going to make you happy and not so emotionally blah, right? Because I don't like seeing the Four of Cups there, especially when it's associated with the Three of Pentacles. This to me is saying that you're working towards something that just is not satisfying. And I do think that some of you are like trying to balance out, you know, what you're doing as far as work, but then also what you're wanting to put your time and effort into. And I think it's something that, you know, you may have a talent for, looking at the Three of Pentacles. But looking at the Four of Swords, I do think that, you know, you guys get to this point where you're taking a break. You're taking a break from constantly doing that juggling act. And I do think that the King of Swords, there is, to me, this is saying that you have the ability to start pulling on this energy and having that mental clarity. I just think that some of you get to a point here where I think you start worrying about what's going to happen. And I'm telling you, this would not be in your best path to follow if you were not putting together the right plans for your own happiness, because clearly this is something you need. And then again, seeing this with the King of Swords, I'm not, even if this does have to do with a person, I'm not seeing this as a bad thing. Even with the Five of Swords being there, that ace underneath him like cancels that out. And again, it being in your hopes and your fears, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is something that's going to manifest. But I do feel like with the Eight of Wands being, you know, the clarifier there with the Seven of Swords, that things are going to start moving quickly. And I wouldn't worry. Whatever plans you have set up, I think that you are doing the right thing. You just need to put the time and effort into that. But also there needs to be this openness with communication. And it's not just, you know, what you need to communicate to the people around you as far as what you're doing, but there needs to be communication too when it comes to, you know, your relationships as well. And they don't have to be romantic. But I do kind of get the sense there that, you know, with the Ace of Cups being your best path to follow, and then seeing the Eight of Wands connected to the Seven of Swords, it's silence. It's silence when it comes to your emotions. And I think that there needs to be more open communication when it comes to the way that you feel. But overall, it's not bad. I do think that you guys are looking at a brand new beginning that is going to be great. And I do think that these cards here are telling you that, you know, again, this is a new beginning, and you pulled the very first card in Lay Vampire. As long as you hold gratitude in your heart, it will raise your vibrational level to put you right on target with the things that you're wanting. So I do think that these energies are good to see. And I do think it's important for Libra to keep that gratitude in their heart. Now, when it comes to the soul trees, right, change, flourish, and then the sacral chakra, I do feel like creatively you're in a really good spot. And you have the ability to flourish when you start acting on what is coming through you creatively right now, especially with Three of Pentacles being here. But change, something is changing for you. And I think it's because, you know, you're getting away from the things that you are bored with and you're going into something new. Now, when you're looking at Whispers of Love, there's love all around you, and then the union of hearts. Seeing this is perfect. This to me is saying that there's somebody around you right now that has love for you, and you may have love for them, and it's going to be a really good union. So, and then for those of you who are in a relationship, it's beautiful. So overall, Libra, I just think that there needs to be a little bit more open communication, and don't worry so much, because I do think that you are making the right plans for you.